What's going on, guys? Crypto Renegade here. In today's video, I'm going to be doing another reaction video to Mr. Beast disclosing in a podcast that he left $2 million worth of Bitcoin and his private keys to access that Bitcoin on his desk. Stay tuned. You do not want to miss this one. All right, guys, welcome back. So I wanted to go over this because obviously Mr. Beast is a celebrity. He's a well-known figure, especially in the YouTube space. And I came across this podcast with Andrew Schultz on his Flagrant podcast about 11 months ago. And basically I was listening to this, and there's a segment here, or a part of this 4-hour interview, where Mr. Beast explains where someone came into his house and robbed him of all of his designer clothes, his TV, all of these expensive gadgets in his home. But he explains a situation where he has his laptop and his actual private key written down to his Bitcoin wallet, and over $2 million worth of Bitcoin are just sitting out on his desk, on his computer. So we're going to watch this clip, and it's about 1 to 2 minutes long. I just want you to hear what he has to say, and then I'm going to do a quick reaction on my thoughts of what is going on here, maybe what he was thinking, and obviously for the everyday user, things to never do and things that you can do to protect your private key so you don't make the type of mistake that Mr. Beast made here, and some of my reasoning of why I think he did this in the first place. So let's get into it.
I took my Bitcoin at the time too, but he's a fucking idiot. He didn't move. So I had like a laptop like this, and like right here was just written my private key, 'cause I don't know, my fucking moron. It just said Bitcoin private key.
Come on,
so
Jimmy.
he steals my laptop, and I was like, I thought that's why my house got robbed. Like the second I saw that front door kicked in, I was like, oh, they just stole my Bitcoin. Because I also just recently tweeted about it, and it's like, fuck.
Tweeted?
And I go in there, I can't find my laptop. I'm like, god damn it, they just stole everything I owned. And then I just run over to my desktop, which they didn't steal, but my laptop, and I just like, I had it also a screenshot of it. I pulled my private key up there, and I'm like crying. I'm like, fuck, it's not gonna be there. It literally says Bitcoin private key on my laptop. And I'm like, they just took it. There was like $2 million, which was every dollar to my name at that point. Because I like took like $100,000 one month, put in Bitcoin like skyrocketed. And then I was literally just about to sell it and fund a bunch of videos. And then that shit went down, and I'm like crying as I'm loading it up, and my heart is pounding. I'm like, please, it's there. It's all there. And I moved it real quick, and like that robber's a fucking moron. He's busy stealing my TV, my fucking blanket, instead of the fucking Bitcoin that was sitting right there. Fucking idiot. Fuck you.
That's the guy from the Battle Pirates.
Hey, thanks for stealing my designer shirt, so I didn't want those anymore.
Just because he didn't like...
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. That was obviously a brief clip. I gave you some context. If you have questions, leave it down in the comment, but I'll also link to this podcast into the comments as well. But it sounds like what happened here is Mr. Beast literally tweeted, this was before Bitcoin's bull run, I'm assuming in 2021, the second bull run. Actually, it'd be the third bull run. There's one in 2013, 2017, and then 2021. So anyways, it sounds like whenever this happened, he didn't disclose the exact time frame, but whenever this happened, he bought $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. It started pumping. He got it up to almost $2 million worth, and he has his laptop, as he explained in the clip, and wrote down, it sounds like either on a notepad, which again, if it's on a digital notepad, like if it's on Notes, if you're on an Apple Mac, or if it's on Notepad and you're on a PC, never, ever, ever under any circumstance leave your Bitcoin private key anywhere that's online or access to a computer or anything digital. That's number one. Number two is, even if you do have it written offline, let's say he has a Post-it note or a sticky note, which it sounds like he had on his laptop, and it said Bitcoin private key, and it actually had the literal private key, not the 24-word recovery seed phrase, not his password to his wallet that contains his private keys. It sounds like, based on this clip, Mr. Beast actually wrote out his actual private key, which is insane to me. One, if you have access to your private key, which everyone should, because that represents ownership of the Bitcoin in this case that you own, one, never leave it out on your desk. I don't care if you live alone. I don't care what the situation is. You never leave your Bitcoin private key out anywhere in the world for anyone to visibly see. Period. End of story. That's the first mistake here. Second mistake here is if you do have your private key, never put it anywhere digital. No, not your phone, not your notes, not your laptop, not anything that has access ever at any point in time to the internet. And if you do write it down on a piece of paper, which you really shouldn't do, what you really should do is one of two things. Number one, you should have a metal recovery seed backup plate. Now, there's a couple different versions that you can do. There's one where you can put your 24-word recovery seed phrase and the first 4 letters of those in a titanium or a stainless steel recovery seed plate that you can close so it's not visible to the human eye, and that prevents it from getting, destroyed by fire, water, shock, anything like that. So that's one method, and you can obviously, if you want to be extra secure, if you're smart and you have backups, you can actually split that 24-word phrase among 2 backups, 3 backups, 4 backups. I don't recommend that for a novice user though, because if you forget the order they go in, if you forget where they're located, then you lose everything. So that's not typically recommended, but that is an advanced user way to really make it secure. Also, there's passphrases and additional passwords on top of the 24-word phrase, but we'll get into that in another video. The point being here is that he left his actual private key on his computer. So that's unsecure for many, many reasons, whether it was digital or whether it was on a physical piece of paper, sticky note on his laptop. Now, Mr. Beast is obviously a very smart guy. He's very wealthy and very successful. The fact that he's disclosing this in the public is another mistake, because he's going to become another potential high-profile target. If someone listens to this and was like, okay, if I know where Mr. Beast's physical location is, his laptop is, his house, his warehouse where he does his filming, whatever it is, and I know that he doesn't care about security, which he clearly doesn't, he just doesn't care. And it might be because he has so much money that if the Bitcoin was stolen, it would have just been, like, oh, that sucks, no big deal. Which it sounds like in this video he was worried, like, oh no, I hope the hacker didn't steal my Bitcoin. But if he really did care, he would have taken steps to actually make sure that, 1, it's not out in the open. 2, if it is on a piece of paper, it's in a very secure place that doesn't have access to water or anything that could damage it. But again, that's still not safe. Or thirdly, making sure that you have additional backups to your private key. For example, Engrave Graphene has a really sophisticated system where it's the hexadecimal private key on a plate, and you separate those 2 plates and you can't transcribe it unless you have either one. So it sort of decentralizes your private key. So if someone comes across this metal plate, they can't decode or they can't get access to your private key. You actually have to have the 2 plates put together. So that's another thing that he can do, and most people should do. I'm going to leave a link to my free ebook down in the description, 100% free. It goes over a lot of tips, tricks, techniques, things like that to make sure that you know what your options are for protecting your private key, ways to protect yourself in case someone gains access to it, if you're ever subject to a $5 wrench attack or extortion or blackmail or anything like that. But in the case of Mr. Beast here, it's obviously very foolish. I would assume that after this incident, he became much smarter, hopefully used a hardware wallet, hopefully had a backup to his private key to where it wasn't out in the open, obviously, but more importantly, it's in a secure location, whether it's buried out somewhere in the world only he knows about, or in a safe that he controls, not a bank, not a safety deposit box, something like that. But this just goes to show that no matter how rich or how wealthy you are, people don't really understand the basics of crypto security, protecting your private key. Mr. Beast is a very high profile example of this, and I just wanted to bring attention to this, that he had over $2 million worth of Bitcoin just sitting out, trusting that no one would take it, or just being lazy, not really caring what happens because he has so much money it might not even matter. But I wanted to react to this video as a use case to show people that it doesn't matter who you are, what your net worth is, how important you are in the world, if you're a celebrity, if you're an everyday Joe, it really doesn't matter. There are still some basic things that you can do, even if you don't have money, even if you don't buy a metal recovery seed backup, even if you don't buy a hardware wallet, there's ways to protect your private key, and all those are free down in the free ebook on 7 best ways to secure your crypto. But this, I want to know what you guys think. What do you think went through Mr. Beast's head when he not only disclosed this to the public, because that's a security vulnerability, he could be subject to not only social engineering, but he is a high candidate for a $5 wrench attack. Even though he has security, I'm sure, even though he has all these other things, he just put a target on his back by talking about how much Bitcoin he had publicly, and not only that, explaining a very stupid way about how he stored it. It's not even like they would have to get access to his hardware wallet wallet and these kinds of things. It sounds like at any point someone is going to now probably try to break in and access his Bitcoin because he clearly leaves it out in the open and has no cause for concern there. So that's a security risk to your physical safety. From a digital or security standpoint and a physical standpoint, you always want to make sure that you have your recovery seed phrase distributed in a secure location, obviously not out on your desk, in a safe, in another location. Break it up if you're smart enough to know what order they go in and so on and so forth. But again, I don't want to keep repeating myself. I just want to point out that there's a lot of things in a security standpoint that went wrong here. I think it's interesting that he disclosed this in podcast, and hopefully we can all learn a lesson from this. And if there's something that you think that I'm missing, go ahead and comment down below. But more importantly, I want to hear what you guys think about Mr. Beast admitting this happening in public on a recorded podcast in an interview. Do you think he just doesn't care? Or do you think that no one is going to try to extort him or blackmail him or go the route of a $5 wrench attack to get access to that private key in the future, abduct him, all those types of things? Let me know your thoughts down below. And if you want me to make more of these types of reaction videos, send me videos you want me to react to, but also I have a few more that I think are interesting and that I want to kind of go over things that could have been avoided, things that could be helped. And this is all for the purpose of not trying to throw Mr. Beast under the bus or anyone else I react to, is to bring awareness to the importance of crypto security, and not only just bring awareness to what they did wrong, but also give you a solution so that these types of things can't happen to you, so that you're safe and so that you're protected. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here. Comment down below, and until next time, Crypto Renegade out.